Hello, welcome, and thank you for stopping in and getting yourself a little bit of training here in the real estate sales business. And that's what I do and what I have done since 1977, the year I graduated from college. And so I've had my license a long time and been fortunate to have helped several thousand folks negotiate real estate successfully. And so what I have to share with you is well, a number of things, but certainly today what we're going to talk about are the ways that you can become much more professional in your sales career as a realtor, and then in turn convert and close more transactions. So why should you listen to me, and what's in it for you? Well, I really think that the truth of the matter really is that you're looking for results. Isn't that right? I mean, really, that's what we're all looking for. We've all got enough boxes full of trainings and manuals and, recordings of things that we're supposed to be doing. And maybe we've tried them even, and they just don't seem to be working. So that's why you're here, I'm sure, right now, is to maybe to learn something that you can actually put into action, deploy, as we say here at the syndicate, and make some money from it, get some results. So just remember, people are jaded when it comes to salespeople. So you're kind of starting off on the wrong foot to begin with, just because you're in sales, right? Well, you know what? They should be. And the reason is because most salespeople have no idea how to professionally sell their product and or service. And in this case, what we're talking about is real estate. You've met those folks out there already, haven't you? And hopefully you're not one of them that just doesn't know what to do, doesn't know what to say, comes across awkwardly, let's say, pushy, just yuck. Let's get away from them. That's why, salespeople have the reputation they do. They're hype at high pressure, right? That's not what we do here, and that's not what you want to do. So wouldn't it be cool if you could make sales without doing any of that uncool stuff? Boy, I know it is for me. When you become professional and learn your craft, it becomes a natural sequence of events. Selling does. It really doesn't require much fancy pants stuff at all. So think about it. When you become a professional and you don't do any of that, salesy kind of crap, your prospects and clients will love you for it. You'll have greater authority, that's for sure. You'll stand apart from everyone else that is doing that clowny stuff. And you'd probably make more sales, don't you think? You interested? I thought you might be. Let's dive in. Here's how to do it. There's really a simple 5-step process you can follow for any sales conversion that works wonders. Conversation, I should say. No matter what you're selling. Now I'll give you a second to grab a pen and a piece of paper, and then I'll map it out for you. Okay, let's go. Now, step 1 is confirmation, who you are and what you're going to cover. So when you first meet with someone, let's assume right now a couple of assumptions. You've got an appointment with someone to talk to them about their real estate needs. And for much of this presentation, we're going to assume that you're talking to a potential seller. Okay, so when you first meet with them, you're going to talk a little bit about who you are, and assuming they don't know, you very well, who you are, what you do, and how you do what you do, and what you're going to cover during the discussion. Step 2, you're going to demonstrate the difference. The audience is jaded. Your prospect is jaded. So address the skepticism head on and explain why this is different. And you might just say something like, hey, Bob, I know you've probably met with other salespeople and, maybe didn't have a good experience. And I just want you to know that I feel your pain. I've met lots of salespeople too that I just didn't want to ever talk to again. And so just so you know, has nothing, our meeting today, not about sales at all. What it's about is getting to know you and what it is that you'd like to accomplish, and if and how I might be able to help you do that. So now second, you want to, or step 3 is you want to share stories and create bonds with people. You might use a similar situation story. Jim, I met some folks that were in a similar situation as you are today. And here's what they felt, and and after exploring their options, here's what they found. So the feel, felt, found. Understand how you feel. I know others that have felt the same way, and when they explored their options through this process, here's what they found. Of course, you want to bond with common denominators. As you get to know Jim or Mary or whoever, you want to find out if you have some common ground. Now, remember, it's important. The presentation is ultimately about your prospect or client and what they want. It's not about you, in spite of what you'd like to think. And this is where a lot of realtors shoot themselves in the foot. They seem to incessantly talk about their success and how great they are and their great company and their great this and their marketing and this and that and the other thing. And while that's all well and good, a lot of that is assumed already by that person you're talking to, and the more you talk about it, the less they believe it to be true. So, kind of stay away from you and talk more about them. And how do you do that? Well, we're going to get into that here in a minute. But now here's step 4, and that's the payoff. That's why they're talking to you. And it's the most important part. You've got to provide great value before you ask for a sale. In any situation, just think about it. No value, no sale. And also, remember, this is a caveat, people need to like and trust you before they're going to do business with you. Imagine, going out on a date, first time, and, you go for the score right off the bat. I mean, and you don't even know the person. They don't know you. They don't trust you. And believe me, if you take a move like that and use it, they don't want to get to know you and trust you either. So here's how you do it. You start by leading with great questions. Any great salesperson is just dying for someone to ask them a question. You know why? So they can answer that person with a question. Not to be flip, but to get more information, right? So here's the thing. You got to break the ice. You got to build rapport. You got to get that likability and trustability. So you might start with something like, "Hey, Jim, thanks for taking the time to discuss the market with me. And what was it that made you decide to take action and move forward with selling your home at this time?" So listen carefully to his answer and ask your next question accordingly. "Hey, that's great, Jim, and that's decisive action right there. Hey, how long have you been considering a move?" Listen to the answer. Just curious, what's prevented you from going forward, up to this point? Is there anything else that might prevent you from moving right now? Now listen, that's a great question, because it's going to tell you how motivated they are. And if there's anything else, maybe they'll reveal it, that might hinder their ability to move forward. You need to know that. It's kind of qualifying a little bit. So here's a great question. So assuming we can accomplish your goals in a relatively short period of time, what would be the ideal time for you to make the move? Hey, Jim, how long have you lived in your current home? Those are nice icebreaker questions, right? So here's some more. Hey, if Jim's a buyer prospect, ask him this. Jim, do you know the home you're living in now? Oh, I'm sorry. Jim, do you own the home you're living in now, or are you renting? Listen to the inflection when I talk to, because it's very important how you ask the question. So again, do you own the home you're living in now, Jim, or are you renting? If Jim's a homeowner, say, hey, will you be selling your current home as part of the process? In other words, like if you're talking to him as a buyer, but he's then also a homeowner, then you ask him if he's going to be selling the home as part of the process. And then another nice question is, how much do you expect to net from the sale of your home? Good ammunition for you to have later when you do your listing presentation. You want to know what they're thinking. Now, and if you're in step 1 of the 2-step listing approach, something we teach at the Sales Syndicate, you can ask some of the following questions. Hey Jim, you and Mary have done such a nice job with your home. Why would you ever consider moving? If appropriate, ask that question. It's a great one. You'll get the real reason. Now, pause as you're going through the home with Jim. You pause in a large room, and I love this one. Okay, so and you say this, "Hey Jim, this is a nice sized room. Do you happen to know the exact dimensions?" Of course, they don't. So you hand Jim the end of the tape. Make sure it's a cloth tape, by the way, so you don't scratch anything. Hand him the end of the tape, and you start walking to the other end of the room. And while you're saying this, "Hey Jim, the longer I'm in real estate, the more I realize that clients demand accuracy in the professionals that represent them, and accuracy is important, isn't it? Well, that's why I measure everything to the exact inch and I use it in my marketing when appropriate." And then as you're going through, and you measure all the rooms out, go ahead and just measure all the rooms. It's kind of assumptive, but just do it anyway. And if you're really assumptive and strong and a professional, write the answers, the room measurement sizes, right on the listing agreement, right in front of Jim, hoping he'll ask you and stop you and say, "What are you doing, Mike?" We'll get to that in a minute. So also, build rapport using common denominators. For example, "Hey Jim, I see you're a golfer. You get out to play much?" Whatever he says. "Where do you play most often?" "Oh, cool. I love the game myself, and I used to be good, but I don't get out and practice as much as I used to. Business has been booming lately, and you know how that goes." So anyway, so just have a little talk. Hey, by the way, Jim, are you planning on interviewing any other brokers for the job? If he is, try to be the last one he interviews. That way you'll be free to close for the business. Sneaky, I know. Hey, last thing, Jim. When I come back this evening at 7, would you be kind enough to have the kitchen table ready so I can spread out the information in order to share it better? Thanks, man. Appreciate it, and I'll see you tonight at 7. Okay, so now you leave, right? So then the magic's going to happen that night at the table. You're going to get all your research done, check all the comparable properties, in fact, go see them, as many of them as you can, because the worst nightmare in the world is if you show up to that 7 o'clock appointment and you sit down to go over your research, and Jim or Mary, they know more about your comparables than you do. You're done, man. You're toast. You're out of there. They can't wait to look at their watch and say, "Hey, our favorite show's coming on TV. We got to go." If you know what I mean. So let's get some minor closing questions out on the table as we are, setting up and going through our listing presentation. So remember now, we asked Jim to have the table ready. So we're sitting at the table. Psychologically, have them sit across from you, next to each other, but across from you. It's just psychological. It's the best place, and I could go into detail about that, but I don't really have time in this particular training to do so. So I won't. So now you've handed them, a copy of the listing agreement, let's say, because I do that prior to giving them a copy of the comparables, and you might then ask a few minor closing questions like these. "Jim, Mary, would you like us to call for an appointment before showing the home, or shall we just stop by?" Of course, they're going to usually say, "Hey, appointment only, Mike." Great, let me make a note. Write that answer on the listing agreement. And this is where they might stop you and say, "Hey, Mike, what are you doing? We haven't decided to list with you yet." And then that's where I come in and I say, I'm certainly aware of that, but I like to keep everything in the proper perspective, and I do that on the paperwork so I don't forget anything, especially something that might cost you time and or money. By the way, would a 45-day close be convenient, or would 60 days be better for you? The answer, you say, "Great, let me make a note of that." And you write it right on the listing. Next, you say, "Is there anything that you plan on leaving with the property, like, say, the refrigerator, the swing set, the hot tub, anything at all?" They say, you write. Then you might ask, "How about any exclusions? Are there any fixtures you'd like to exclude from the sale? Like any light fixtures that you plan, to take with you, or any other things that would be considered fixtures that you'd like to exclude from the sale." Again, if they have any, write them down. And then here comes the payoff. You've gone through your listing agreement. You've come to an agreement on the price. That's a whole nother discussion, by the way, because that's where you're going to have a lot of your pushback is on the price. If you've done your job properly, then 9 times out of 10, the market is going to say a value that is lower than what the seller believes the value should be. So that's a discussion and a topic for a later discussion, I should say. So let's say you've gone through that, you've come to an agreement on all those things, and now you simply ask for the business. You do this right, and you will convert 9 out of 10 listing appointments you're on, and the 10th one you won't convert simply because you don't want the listing. Okay, so here's what you do. You turn the paperwork around, the original, and you say, Jim, Mary, with your approvals right here. Now you point to the line and you set your pen down right next to it, okay? So again, you say, Jim, Mary, with your approvals right here, we can get started getting you happily moved. Now what? Shut up. That's what. Remember, and I learned this from a sales trainer many, many years ago, the first one who talks loses. And I got to tell you something. That is so, so true. First time I used this technique, I was literally sweating bullets. My knees were hopping under the table. I wanted to say something. The silence seemed like 30 seconds, seemed like it was like 20 minutes. I mean, it was just excruciating, right? But I stuck to my guns and I kept quiet. And guess what? Mary nudged Jim and said, you go first. And he did. So immediately after they approve the paperwork, here's what you got to do. You got to set the expectations and do it like a boss, okay? Now that you've got their agreement, you want to take it a step further as a professional. And this is how you're going to, build your business, folks. By doing this job and taking your time and doing it properly at the front end, you're going to build yourself the opportunity to not only receive, but to also ask for referrals, or as I like to call them, high quality introductions from them. And you're going to get to ask that sooner than later. Okay, so here's some of the things you're going to go over. You might say, thank you, Jim and Mary, for your confidence in me tonight. I assure you I'll do everything in my power to get your home sold at the highest possible value. And so let's go over a few details to ensure we meet our goals. Okay, first of all, we can stage your property one of two ways. It looks so nice right now. I think you can do this on your own. But if you'd prefer, you can certainly hire a professional. There are professional stagers. But again, since you've already got it looking so nice, there's just a few things to go over. And then you go over a few things with them, like make sure the counters are clear, lights are on, blinds are open, so forth and so on. Then you instruct them on properly preparing for a showing. Again, you go back over getting all their senses involved. And, getting all their senses involved, like their smell, their sight, their, touch, all those things. So, how do you do that? Well, when you know the home's going to be shown, you go ahead and you turn on all the lights prior to the showing. You turn on some soft music. You flip on the fireplace. You make sure the blinds are all open. As a nice little touch, if you really want to get people to remember the home, bake some cookies or brownies right before the showing and set out a nice plate of warm cookies. Believe me, if they see 5 or 6 homes, they're going to remember the cookie house. Trust me on that one. So, and again, remind them to do minor touch-up, and sprucing, just, tell them it's like selling a car. What do you do when you sell a car? You fluff it, you buff it, you armor all it, you get it, you wax it, you make it, perfect as you can so you can get the most money for it. Same holds true with your home. Make it look as perfect as you can in the buyer's eyes. Then set the expectation regarding folks that see the sign and just stop by. This is critical because sometimes people will see the sign, stop the car, knock on the door, and ask to see the home. Advise your seller not to let them in, but instead to say, hey, my realtor, here's my realtor's card. He's happy to come and meet you here to show you the property. Or come back in 15 to 20, whatever the case may be, but don't let the person come in. Okay, now here's a real critical step. You've got to set them up for a fast offer, because if you did your job right and you priced the home properly, guess what? In the market we're in today, especially, you're going to see an offer fairly quickly, maybe within a day or two. Maybe more than one offer even. So, and if you don't set them up for a fast offer and they get one, guess what? They're going to be mad at you because they're going to feel like you priced it too low. You're charging them X percent and you haven't had to do anything to earn that, and it goes on and on and on. So you got to set them up. That way you won't face any of those problems, right? So how do you do it? Well, as you know, Jim and Mary, we're shooting for whatever the price is, and I'll present all offers that we generate, and as I have to. But please realize that the most active agents are working with 3 to 5 qualified buyers at any given moment, and your home might be perfect for one of them. We may be fortunate to get an acceptable offer in the next few days, and that'd be great, wouldn't it? So you say it like that, let them know it could happen in the next few days. You say it positively, that'd be great, wouldn't it? And as you say that, you nod your head as in a yes manner as you say that. And of course, they're going to say, yeah, that'd be great. Now, go sell that house. You got yourself a great listing. I used to walk out the door and just kind of go to myself, cha-ching, because I knew this property was going to sell right away. They were going to get top dollar for it, and a lot of times that we're going to buy a house too. So it was doubly awesome. Could be triply or quadruply awesome if I sell their house myself too. So it's all good. So how do you go about getting it sold right away? Well, here's some of the things you might consider. Canvass the closest 25 to 50 homes. Send them postcards announcing the new listing. Send some flyers to do the same. Send them invites if you're going to do an open house. And critically, just door knock those homes. It's amazing how when a sign goes up in a neighborhood, invariably within the next couple of weeks, another sign or two will also go up because people will be, reminded that maybe they're considering selling, and now that Jim and Mary has put their home up for sale, maybe they should too, to take advantage of all the traffic that's going to come through the neighborhood. Think about it. It happens all the time. Why shouldn't you get that business instead of your competitor? Okay? Send a personal note to those top 10 agents that work in the area as well. Invite them to come and see your new listing. Let them know that you're sending them this note, because that they're one of the top agents and that they are likely to have a buyer right now that your home is perfect for. And please, as a PS, tell them to send you any of their listings that you'd like or that they'd like for you to take a peek at, and you're happy to do it. Okay? Schedule and hold a broker's open and make it exciting. Okay? The broker's open on a Tuesday or a Thursday or whenever you guys do it. Schedule it. You got to get the other brokers involved, right? They're working with the buyers. But make it exciting. It could be just that the market's so good and the listing's so good it's already exciting. But, add some spice to it. Have a contest. Have, certainly some sort of refreshments and food and so forth. Hold it at a different time maybe than what might be considered a normal time. Have a theme. Many things you can do to make it memorable and make people want to come to it. Of course, post it on social media, but do that strategically and not without thought. You don't want to piss people off just by posting your listings on there. Nobody really cares. But if you don't know how to do it right and put it in the right place, which we do teach you if you'd like to learn it, it can be very, very powerful. Put up as many directional signs as you can. You know, the best advertising out there today still are signs in the real estate business. So where you can, put up directional signs. I'll never forget one of the guys that I hired way back in the day at Remax that was basically getting back into the real estate business, and he didn't have any business, but then he got a listing and went out on Friday night, took the listing on a Wednesday or Thursday or whatever, went out Friday night in the middle of the night and put up 20, no less than 20 directional signs starting like 3 miles away from the house. And I kid you not, within a matter of weeks, this guy had more listings, more signs up. People were starting to come in and talk to him and say, man, I see your signs everywhere. And of course, he had 1 or 2 listings, but it looked like he had the entire valley for sale because of his directionals. These are very powerful. Don't forget them. Do them. Of course, here's another thing a lot of people don't do. Go and promote them to local business owners. Some of your local business owners are certainly maybe in the market to buy or sell a home. So go and let them know about how you do business by informing them of your new listing. Find out if they have any needs while you're at it. Okay, then rinse and repeat. Do this over and over. Get lots of listings that are saleable. This is the way that you can really run your business and have, instead of it running you by working with a lot of buyers. Your business tends to run you when you do that. Hey, you want more? Well, here's how you can get it. If you'd like to know more and like me to help you personally to double, triple, or even quadruple your sales and your income for free, sounds too good to be true, got it, doesn't it? It's not. If you'd like my help and you'd like it for free, here's what you need to do next. Call me, 503-913-8218, and we'll schedule a time to talk. Maybe we'll talk right then if you've got the time and I've got the time, but if not, we'll schedule a convenient time for us to dive in and have a discussion about your business, about what you're doing now, and how I might could help you right then and there on the phone call. I mean, that's my goal anyway. And that way we can get to know each other a little bit better. And 1 or 2 things are going to happen on the call. We'll either, we're certainly going to learn and laugh probably a little bit and glad to have talked to each other. And you'll decide that you've got everything you need to for now and to bridge the gap you've got and alone. Or we'll decide that we're a good fit and we'll want to work together longer term to get your desired results faster anyway. So either way, it's perfectly fine with me. I'm certainly happy to, and I love to do just that, help people. So if you're ready to quit playing small, and believe me, I know most of you are. I know I have, and maybe still am. Boy, I hesitated there, huh? But no, if you want to play the sales game at your highest level, well, fast action takers, there's an operator standing by. That would be me. Call 503-913-8218 and reserve your complimentary sales strategy call right now. Go ahead. What are you waiting for? Pick up the phone. I'm only going to have time for taking about 7 people. So make the call. Anyway, hey, thanks. Have an awesome day.